Hey everybody, this is Roberto Blake of robertoblake.com helping you create something awesome today. So today I'm super excited about this video. A lot of you might remember I did a video on 5 things you don't learn in graphic design school. This video is going to be 10 more things that you don't usually learn in graphic design school, at least for the most part. Now, I'm not against you going to college as a graphic designer if that's what you think you need to do to be successful in your career, but I do need to make you aware that in most cases, if you're thinking about going to college, there's a lot of stuff you need to learn that you're not necessarily going to be taught by the majority of your professors. And that's not a knock against them. They're just not in a position as a practitioner in the real world to give you some of this information. Many of them have not been practitioners for over a decade. So with that in mind, let's cover 10 more things you may not learn in graphic design school. Number one of the things that I don't think a lot of graphic design schools are teaching you is how to actually start your own design business. I mean, a lot of them really just want to show you how to theoretically work as an in-house graphic designer, and for the majority of you, that might be your plan. It might be okay. But what if you plan to start your own design businesses or you want to run a marketing or design company or firm? They're not putting you in a position to be able to execute on that effectively and teaching you the things you need to learn. They're not even introducing you to the idea that it's possible for you to do this. And it may not take you 10 years in your career to get there the way that it did with me. You might actually be able to do this within the first 3 or 5 years of your career if you really want to, but it will only happen if someone is taking the time to teach you how to do that, if that's your goal and that's your end game. Number 2, how to negotiate. Whether you're negotiating with clients or negotiating the salary for your design jobs, this is something you need to know how to do, and they're not teaching you how to do this. They're not teaching you how to negotiate either a fair salary or an appropriate salary or what that might really look like. And the thing about that is it comes down to leverage. They can talk about standard rates all they want or hourly rates and all of those things or your portfolio, your experience. It comes down to leverage. They're not positioning you to be successful in negotiating with somebody in the hiring chair or a client and how to get them to think of things not as a cost, but as an investment. So you need to learn the art of negotiation. I think I'll have some links to books in the description below that you can get that will help you with this, but you should really talk to somebody who has a background in sales and or marketing to really get a feel for this. Number 3, how to create products. Look, a lot of graphic designers I know are struggling right now because they've never figured this out. You need to be able to make an income from your skills as a graphic designer, whether you have a job or not, or whether you have clients or not. A lot of people whine about the Adobe subscription because they're like, well, what if I have a lean month or what if I have a bad month? Then I'm in trouble. Look, you need to be able to make money whether you have clients or not, and being able to develop products around your design skills are going to help with that. So if you're a web designer, this might mean selling templates in ThemeForest. If you're a graphic designer, you come from the print world, it might mean selling a magazine template or web banner ad templates, something that you can put out there and can generate revenue from that's going to help you whenever you fall through on either having a job or in between jobs or when you don't have clients. This is super important. Number 4, how to network. Networking is one of the most important things you will ever do regardless of what your creative career is or what your career in general is. I can't stress enough how important it was in terms of networking and building relationships and what that did for my career and continues to do for my career every day, even now. So you need to be networking. You need to be going to industry events and conferences. You need to be going to local small business events and mixers so you can find clients or potential employers or someone who can introduce you to the right person to give you an opportunity. Networking is one of the most undervalued things and one of the things that many creatives struggle with the most. And I think that it's actually very detrimental to your career if you don't get a handle on this. If you want to really learn about how to do conferences and networking and what this can really do for you, I recommend a book from a good friend of mine, Tyler Wagner. He wrote the book Conference Crushing, and this book is tremendous. After seeing him speak, I actually got this book, listened to it on the plane ride home, and it validated a lot of what I already knew, but it also gave me insights into things that I could do much better, and it's things that I've used effectively today. So you need to be networking. If traveling is not in the cards for you, use social media to use that as a networking pipeline. Use blab.im. It is a face-to-face video networking platform. It's like having access to conferences and to speakers and influencers 24/7, no matter where you are in the world. So take advantage of things like this. Again, links are in the description below. Number 5, how to talk to non-designers. As designers, sometimes we get very artistic and romantic about our craft and we don't know how to talk to people about it without using jargon or without, again, being very romantic and, getting very entrenched in it. We don't know how to communicate our value and communicate things in general to people who are not artists and are not designers and are not coming from that world. You need to be able to really get a handle on your communication skills and be able to talk to people who have no idea what you do for a living or why it's important, and really be able to explain it to them in a way that's meaningful. Number 6, why you need a personal brand and why it's important. I talked about this a little bit in the previous video when I talked about 5 things you're not learning in design school, but I think I need to address it again in the fact that most of the people who are going to be teaching you and instructing you in design school, they don't have a personal brand and they didn't need one for their career. Some of them, not all of them, didn't have a design job outside of academia very long. Or if they did a traditional design job over a decade ago or more. And again, they didn't need a personal brand to do this. They leveraged networking specifically. But today, personal branding is important. We live in a world where your employer is going to Google you and is going to look you up in social media, in Facebook and in LinkedIn. That's a reality of today that many of the people that are your instructors did not have to deal with when they were entering into the job market. So as somebody who is in the hiring chair today and has been in the hiring chair in the past, I am telling you this matters. Every art director and every creative director and every small business person that I talk to, whenever they want to work with someone, they are Googling them. They are looking into their social media. They are vetting them there. So you need to have a personal brand, you need to have an online presence, and you need to dictate the narrative of what represents you. So I would pay attention to that. If you are struggling with this, I have an hour-long free webinar, no sales pitch, you don't even have to buy it, that will walk you through the basics of developing and building your personal brand. There should be an annotation around here. There's also a link in the description below. Number 7, how to reach outside of your local market. One of the biggest things that I hear a lot of designers and other creatives struggle with is the fact that they say there's no opportunities where they live. They say that they're in a country where design is just not a good profession, or they live in a small town where there's no opportunities. You know what? I've known plenty of people like that that are crushing it right now, and it's because they use this thing called the internet to reach people outside of their local market. And I don't say that to be mean or rude or to be arrogant. I say it to jab home the point that many of you are just making excuses. You can be successful, you can do the thing that you love, you just have to actually put in a little bit of extra work and be more than an artist. And I know that that's hard for you. So if you're struggling with that, you're more introverted, you're shy, you have all these reasons why you can't go outside of your core community, the people that you know, the place that you grew up, outsource that weakness. Find somebody, find a headhunter that can market you and get you a remote telecommuting job. Find an agent or an agency that can market for you and bring you clients. Create a sales force, split the revenue. Go ahead and outsource that weakness, because it's better to get 50 or 30 or 70% of something than 100% of nothing. So grow your client base by outsourcing your weaknesses if you can't market for yourself. And if you can do this yourself, then leverage online marketing, leverage social media, build an email list, maybe get on YouTube, maybe network in Blab, maybe go to conferences outside of your state or your city or even out of the country, and build the connections and relationships it takes to get new business and to create a new pipeline for yourself. Cash is oxygen, so find a way to make it happen. Number 8, how to fire your clients. There's a point where a client relationship just may not be worthwhile. It may not make sense. Maybe you had this client for the last 3 years and you've been stuck with the rates that you gave them 3 years ago, but your value has increased. Or maybe your life situation's changed. Maybe you want to spend more time with your family. Maybe you have kids now and you need to charge more, but this client isn't budging. It might be time to let that client go and to recommend them to someone else. And maybe in doing that, they rethink the relationship and they're willing to invest more in you. There are all kinds of reasons why you might need to terminate a client relationship. But unfortunately, I don't think that many of your college professors are putting you in a position to do that, because they're not focused on you as a freelancer or as somebody starting a design business. They're focused on you getting a job. And the reality is there might be a time where you need to fire your boss. But this conversation isn't being had. And I don't know why. Actually, no, I take that back. I know why. It's because the generations before us focused heavily on this concept of loyalty, and I don't think that's wrong to focus on loyalty. I think the conversation of loyalty has changed. Jobs are not looking to invest in you for 10 or 20 years anymore. That's a reality. That's something that went away with our parents and our grandparents. That's no longer the game. And to be frank, many of you have no interest in being in the same place and being comfortable for 10 years because you know pensions are gone. You know that people are aging out even quickly in the market. They want new, fresh people, blah, blah, blah. So you really need to think about your exit strategy, but you also need to look at, are you having the relationship with a boss or a client that you want? Are you being treated fairly? Are you being paid enough? Are you being disrespected? These are all things that you need to think about and figure out how to fire your client or fire your boss. And I don't think it's something that's being talked about enough in college right now. Number 9, in college and in traditional education right now, many of you are not being taught that designers are marketers. You're being taught that designers are artists. Guess what? We're not. We leverage the skills as artists. We might be artists at heart, but in the execution of our actual job, make no mistake, we are not artists. We are marketers. We are here to help people sell, whether it's selling products, selling services, selling ideas. That is what marketing is. It facilitates sales. Design helps that happen by doing effective visual communication and visual marketing and visual problem solving. We facilitate the sale. So in that regard, we're not artists. It's not about what we want to express. It's what the client or the employer needs us to convey. That is the difference. So if you're more romantic and an artist, you might need to do something very differently than commercial graphic design. Now, if you can understand and wrap your head around that, you really need to double down on learning how design and how leveraging art as a means of communication works and how that makes you an effective marketer and what that means in terms of storytelling that leads to a call to action, an engagement, a sale, a conversion. So understand that narrative, learn a little bit more about sales and marketing, and understand that you're there to help people get this thing done. You're here to help them get people in the door to a brick and mortar business. You're here to help people show up at an event. You're here to get people to donate to something like breast cancer awareness or a search for a cure. You're here to facilitate the execution of sales, and you are therefore part of the marketing effort. So understand that. And if that conversation is not being had, I don't know why. Number 10, how to plan your career. This is something that I hear a lot of people in college tell me that is not happening. No one's talking to them about how they escalate their career. It's just about getting that first job. It's not about where they want to be 10 or 20 years from now. And I think that's important. You should have a roadmap of what you want to accomplish in your graphic design career. Do you want to stay where you are for the rest of your career and the rest of your life? Probably not. So you need to be learning how to effectively plan for your career. And I feel that if that conversation is not being had, if your instructors and professors are not telling you that, which is what I'm hearing from a lot of you. I didn't just pull this out at random. This is not my opinion. This is what I'm getting from a lot of you in conversations we've had and the comments of the previous video we did about this. And it's a shame because planning your career, I would think that from an academic standpoint, that'd be something that's very important. I think they need to have a conversation about how you go from being an entry-level or junior designer to how you escalate to being a senior designer or an art director and a creative director and what the difference is. How do you find your niche? How do you capitalize on that? What does that look like? What industry options are really available to you, and how do you go in? What if you don't ever really want to be a hands-on designer? How do you go in and be specifically a project manager? These are things that I don't feel and that I've heard are not being talked about nearly enough, and I think it's a shame because a lot of you are struggling with this and you pay so much investment and money to learn these things, and they're not being discussed in depth. So these are those 10 things, 10 more things rather, that you're not learning in graphic design school that you need to pay attention to. The good news is that all of this information is available somewhere, for free usually, on the internet in sites here like YouTube. You can look at great graphic designers like Sean Barry, Stephen Looney, Jose Caballero, and Chris Do of the school, Will Patterson, Karen Cavett, and myself, and you can learn these things and more if you're not learning them in school. That is the great thing. If you're not getting what you need from us, there are other websites. You can learn from lynda.com, you can learn from Udemy, you can learn from Skillshare. All of these resources and tools are here to help you, at either $0 or a fraction of the cost of what you're paying for college courses. So keep that in mind and remember that you can take responsibility for your own education. Anyway, I hope this video helped you. If there's something you don't feel you're learning in graphic design school as a student right now, let me know in the comment section. Maybe it'll make it into the next video. Anyway, like this video if you like it. Don't forget to subscribe. Check out the other awesome content on the channel. As always, you guys, thanks so much for watching, and don't forget, create something awesome today.